Hey guys, welcome back to Dividend Obsession. My name is Troy. Today's video comes from a suggestion received in a recent video, and that suggestion was by Karl Moya asking for a video on the different options for Roth packages. And I believe what he means is different types of IRA options. So I wanted to say thank you to Karl for the support on the channel and give you all a deeper look into the different options that exist for IRAs. Disclaimer, I am not a financial planner, so please do your own research and note that any suggestions in this video are for entertainment purposes only. I would also like to take a second to remind anyone watching to subscribe if you have not already. 1, it's free. 2, it helps me and the channel out. And once you've subscribed, just comment down below letting me know that you've subbed, and I'll be sure to make sure I reply and thank you all for your subscriptions in the comments down below. With that being said, let's get to the content. Okay, so from the research I've done, it looks like there are 7 different types of IRAs. I really don't want to go too into detail with all of them. So what I'm going to do is I want to break down mainly the traditional versus the Roth IRA. And I think the easiest way to do that's going to be to do a good old-fashioned compare and contrast. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the similarities between the two accounts. So what these things both have in common, these things being the traditional and Roth IRAs, is they are both individual retirement accounts. They are both tax advantaged. There is a $6,000 contribution limit under 50 years old and a $7,000 catch-up contribution for anyone over 50 years old. There are possible penalties if funds are withdrawn before you are 59 and a half years old. They are both investable in a broad range of investments like stocks, bonds, CDs, mutual funds, ETFs, etc. And they are both smart choices. This is, again, my opinion, but they're both smart choices. All right, so next, I think what I want to do is go over some of what I believe to be the key differences between the two accounts, beginning with the traditional IRA. So the traditional IRA is the most popular and longest existing option, and it was created in 1974. The traditional IRA also gets an upfront tax break, thus lowering your taxable income for the current year and may be claimable on your taxes. You're going to want to speak to a tax professional on this to see if this applies to you. The next thing is the investment earnings. So your capital gains, dividends, and or interest are not taxed as long as they remain in this account. So that's a cool feature. All right, so another cool feature is that your withdrawals in retirement are taxed at your tax rate in retirement, which you can see here on the screen would currently range from 10 to 37%. All right, the next cool feature is actually that there are no income limits to have or contribute to this type of account. So you can make, $1,000 a year, you can make $100,000 a year, you can still have a traditional IRA. There is a 10% penalty on early withdrawals on any money in this account. So this is not a fantastic account if you plan on putting some money in and you might need that money in 10 years. There is a fee for that. Speaking of early withdrawals on the account, there is actually forced withdrawals on a traditional IRA of 72 years old. So once you hit 72 years old, there's actually a minimum withdrawal amount that you must start taking out of the traditional IRA. And the next thing is you are at mercy of any future tax rate changes since you will be paying taxes on the money in retirement. So therefore, taxes are, as I showed earlier, 10 to 37% today. But if you're planning to retire in, 30, 40 years, who knows what the tax rates will be then. And since you are deferring your taxes to later on in retirement, you will be subject to those tax rates. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. Time will tell. So in summary, the traditional IRA is best for people in a higher tax bracket now than you will be in retirement. And know that you will not need access to the money before 59 and a half. Because remember, I said that there is a 10% penalty on withdrawals for any money. That's money that you put in, that's money that you've earned. There's 10% penalty on anything. So now that we've covered the things that the traditional IRA and the Roth IRA have in common, and we've discussed the key takeaway points for the traditional IRA, I wanted to jump into the Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA was created in 1997. There are no upfront tax breaks, so contributions are made via taxed money you make now. So therefore, you get your paycheck back after you've paid Uncle Sam all the money that he gets, and then you contribute to your Roth IRA on your own from that point. So that is after tax money. Next, withdrawals in retirement. So your original contribution and earnings are completely tax-free once over 59 and a half years old and you've had the account for 5 years. So that is a really, really nice feature in my opinion. So anything that you've contributed, anything that you've made, it's all tax-free because you pay taxes up front. There are no taxes on the back end. So this can grow completely tax-free 100%. It can grow to $1 million to $10 million. It doesn't matter, tax-free, because you did your taxing, you did your time in the beginning when you put the money in. So another thing is the Roth is limited by your income. So if you earn too much money, you will not be eligible for a Roth account. And you'll see right here on the screen that if you are filing single, less than $129,000, you're allowed to contribute the full amount. If you're filing married and joint on your taxes, if you make less than $204,000 a year, you'll still be eligible for the full amount of contribution. As of the time of recording in 2022, there is a completely legal way to still have a Roth account via the backdoor Roth, even if you do make more than the income limits I just showed. Let me know down in the comments if you would like a separate video on this type of Roth. I can do the research and do that for you guys. So the next thing is withdrawals on your contributions are tax and penalty free anytime, even before 59 and a half, because this is money that you have added into the account. So you'll remember earlier in the video when I was talking about the traditional IRA, if you needed that money for any worst case scenario in the next, 10 years, you do not have access to it unless you're over 59 and a half. Whereas the Roth, as long as it's money that you've contributed, you have access to that money. While this is not suggested, this is an option. Also, taxes and fees apply to any earned money in the account before 59 and a half, with a few exceptions, such as first-time home purchases, college expenses, and the birth or adoption expenses. So that's a nice little feature. There's a caveat in there that actually benefits people. So that's nice. Nice of the government to do that for us. So the next thing is you can contribute and add money to your Roth your whole life. Where the traditional IRA, you have to start forced withdrawals at 72. The Roth account, you can kind of think of it as it could be a generational wealth tool where you can contribute to the Roth your whole life. Obviously start withdrawing as you get through retirement, but if you don't use it, it is something that you can set up as a beneficiary and pass it on to your next generation, which is another really nice feature of a Roth. There are no forced withdrawals at any age. So like I said, with the traditional, it's at 72. The Roth does not have this. And lastly, since you will not have to pay taxes on the money in this account, that's your contributions or earned income, you are at ease knowing that any future government tax changes will not impact you. So you're paying your taxes now based on today's current tax rates. If the taxes go up in 20, 30 years, you can rest easy knowing that you've already paid your taxes. This will not impact you. So the Roth IRA is really best for savers who anticipate being in a higher tax bracket in retirement and or if you need access to some of the money before retirement age. Again, this is not a recommended option, but it is nice to have this little safety net of if you needed the money, absolute worst case scenario, you're not going to get penalized like you would in a traditional holding that money in a Roth IRA. All right, so next, like I said in the beginning of the video, there are 7 different types of IRAs that I was able to find in my research. And in an effort to keep this video from being too long, I will just give a quick, this might be the type of IRA for you blurb for each of them. So the first one we're going to cover is the SEP IRA, and that stands for the Simplified Employee Pension IRA. This is best for small business owners who want to avoid the startup and operating cost of conventional retirement plan, looking to supersize their retirement, stash, and get a tax deduction on contributions made for their employees. So if you're a small business owner, this might be something that you look into. Again, consult your tax professional. But if you're not a small business owner, let this one just go right over your head. Next is the Non-Deductible IRA, and this is best for those who do not qualify for the Roth account or tax-deductible traditional IRA. So if you qualify for the traditional or the Roth IRA, which most 95% of you guys watching this video will, then the non-deductible IRA, right over your head. All right, so next is the Spousal IRA. This is best for low income or non-working married individuals married to someone who does have an earned income. Think of it as a husband-wife. The wife or husband stops working to take care of a kid, and the other spouse is still working. What basically happens is the account is set up in the name and social security number of the non-employed person, and then the employed spouse can contribute to their own Roth or traditional IRA, and they can add money to the spouses, the non-working spouses IRA on their behalf in their account, in their name, in their social security number. So it is a nice option because with traditional and Roth accounts, you can't have an IRA, a traditional or a Roth in your name and contribute more than you make. So therefore, if you're not making any money, you can't contribute any money. But the spousal IRA allows you to do that. So that's a really, really nice thing I found when I was researching. It's great somebody thought of that. So next one is the Simple IRA, and the Simple part stands for Savings Incentive Match Plan for Employees. And this is best for smaller companies with less than 100 people or 100 employees. If you are self-employed, you are better off opening the SEP IRA for the higher contribution limits. And I did mention the SEP IRA in the beginning or earlier in this list. And the next one is the self-directed IRA. And this is best for experienced investors who want access to alternative investments such as real estate, gold, privately held companies, and non-traditional businesses. This is a very risky type of account. Speak with a financial professional before you sign up for this account to see if this account's right for you. So as you guys can see, there are plenty of options to make your money work for you. And honestly, again, as I said in one of my previous videos, the most important step is to get started. I don't really think you can go wrong with a traditional or a Roth IRA. I think that the Roth, in my opinion, is the better option for most people. Unless you do earn a lot of money and you would like to take the tax deductions now. But if you're young and you're starting your investing journey, I think that the Roth IRA is best. One, because it has that safety net of being able to withdraw anything that you contribute. And then two, it's tax-free. You're not subject to government changes later on and the new tax rates, whatever they may be. It's an ease of mind thing. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up today's video. Please, as I mentioned in the beginning, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not. I really appreciate the support. Like the video, it helps with the algorithm. And then also comment down below. We want to comment on if we want a backdoor Roth video, any other suggestions you have, one for the content on this video, any other content you would like to see. And then also, if you did just subscribe, please comment down below and let me know, and I'll make sure I get back to you and thank you personally in the comments. And then until next time, see you.